Let's get into our final game of the day, and what a beautiful diorama we've got here. Production smurfing, as always, here in the NLC.
So, onto that rift. And now, let's see, of course, how these lanes are going to play out. Talked about how the Veigar can be such almost a lose condition. I think that if this mid jungle gets rolling because Veigar can't stay in lane, that's going to be a huge sticking point. But that can happen in so many different ways. But if Veigar survives through to that mid game, do you think it has very large value? Both these teams sat at 4-2, probably the closest clash we've had today. In fact, it's very much mathematically the closest clash that we have on today's roster. We start off the game with an absolute banger. It was that Bifrost back and forth with M&M of all teams, the 1-5 team, and that was such a crazy close affair. This is one which I hope can match up to that one to end us out on a high note.
We had a lot of teams tied for second earlier on in the day. Of course, Bifrost and Astralis are now there. But Dusty and Riddle, only one of these two will be able to make it. Now we've got to see which one of these two will be able to make it happen. Kale for the first time today.
Yeah, it's actually one of the few that I've actually ended up casting at this point too, but I look at Kale as a champion where if you end up getting access to the minion wave, that Kale can do a lot of nasty things in the laning phase. Of course, you do have an attack speed, movement speed based buff. If you end up stacking that up, that ends up meaning that you can trade very, very heavily, even pre-6. We know that actually the Shy, really good player to watch in this. He loves playing this into Gangplank. He loves saying that. And I wonder now what Kerberos can do, of course, as one of our 1v1 specialists.
Absolutely. He has been a bit of an interesting one to follow. I remember, of course, the Darius first time out of the split. Absolutely smashed on that, and he's in a position here to really hard carry as the game goes on, because Jack's Plank on the other side, on one of those signature plicks, he's back on the Gangplank, has been pretty stellar, all things said, especially considering he's been asked to fill in mid lane earlier on the split when there was some more issues with the way the roster was working back then, and now, actually with the roster as intended, doing very well here for the side of Riddle. And Riddle in general have been surprisingly impressive. We didn't necessarily know what to think about a lot of this team, considering there were huge shifts for the team. And Stefan, another one of those names who, in the pre-show, we were just praising how incredible this guy has been so far, coming from a split off where he was on the coaching staff of X7 to leading in pretty much every stat you care to mention for junglers, particularly around some of those individual numbers like the damage percentage and the farm.
So, speaking of Stefan, of course, very good individual play. Actually coming into the split, then Voxley and Stan, people on the stream, were players which I had very close eyes on. I have expectations from them. Then Voxley returning back to NLC after a split away has always been one of the NLC's great give me farm and I will carry archetype bot lane players, alongside Stan, the player who I'd heard great things about from other people in the scene. So for me, look to see what that bot lane can do. Again, if you start winning that bot lane, I think it does influence the map, the rest of the map so very, very well. That Nautilus can do so much damage if they get into any of those solo lanes. Wait to see if Sten can turn up there. Linkus is actually turning up towards topside, but is on vision. So we'll just be settling for a Scuttle Crab instead.
Yeah, doesn't seem to care too much about an attempted gank. Instead, looking towards a Scuttle Crab. Has gone for the full clear. Linkus, Stefan on the other side, a little bit slower, but is onto those Krugs, having taken the bot side Scuttle Crab. And should be a relatively similar path timing right now. Throws that ward down onto the Gromp for second spawn, a pretty common thing after a full clear. And we're kind of left with a relatively quiet first few minutes.
Well, I don't think either of these junglers really want to hard force on ganks. You're looking for sitting plays, because I think with both of these champions, I actually think their archetypes are more about counter-ganking. Of course, you do have the flash spectral more from Viego if things get particularly open. But
into the cage. That might mean Stefan has an angle to get in here. Backland now in a dangerous position, sliding through, going to try and outplay this one best they can. And the Spectral Maw hits the cannon.
Uses one of his 6 free flashes on the minion wave. Yeah, cool. Uses them to go around the place.
Sweeping blade. He's just being a considerate mid lane play, sweeping up after himself.
Well, Backland gets out of that one safely, of course. Playing around that cage is Veigar. Not normally the nicest thing to do, of course. You can blink through the cage if you get a knock up on the other side. You get to ult past it. But Stefan, have that look in mid, can go top. And look at this, it's a bit of sitting play.
This is Kale problems early. Does not have a lot of ways to play this one out, but won't even look for the barrel chain there, actually. Just gets away from that, doesn't you burn the flash, and just gets to walk away.
Well, there was a ward in lane. Observers obviously spotting that, but Stefan went around the other way, went through the tri-brush. I'm actually not sure if he was spotted on that one. I don't think that wall was in a position to spot all of that wall around that top side. But either way, Kerberos, even though they get aggressed on there, manages to reset that wave, manages to get to that point where they can shove it in, gets to teleport back in the wave, isn't just in an awful spot. So with this, able to just queue that back if he wants to, and have the wave in an okay spot. If that had led into a kill, do you think, yeah, not so great, but Kerberos gets away with the lane management.
And all the while, Linkast did manage to steal away those Raptors from the bargain bucket, as we've been calling it today, and gets to head back to his own red side jungle, having stolen away a couple of those ganks, and that's kind of the opportunity cost of Stefan looking for the ganks in mid and top.
Important thing to keep an eye on in the next minute, because we can see support's just recalled. Stan and Voxnate ended up recalling, going back towards that bot side. Wave is now under turret, but Nash now knows where the enemy knows where the wave is, knows where the support is under that turret. I'm wondering what these supports are going to do with effectively a free play. Nash, this is something you could do as top lane as well.
Yes.
One of the coaches that was in the NLC last split did a really good written Twitter post on this about top laners doing this. Coach called Tash, talking about when you reset, you can just diagonally go into your bot side jungle, and it gives you the option to very quickly return to your lane, but also respond to the map. See what Nash is doing here? Just responding, being in the right position. It's fundamentals, it's not always flashy, but if something had happened, if Linkast had been in a place to just turn up and contest something, Nash was there to respond, and you know, because of the wave and where it was, it's going to slow Pash back towards you. You're not losing much in this bot side. Fundamentals on show from these support resets.
The first part of that proverb is right place, then comes the right time. Make sure you get the order right. If you want it to be the right time, you've got to be kind of in the right area to
Do you have any other favorite proverbs?
Probably. I need to think of some, though.
I can think of all of the ones which turned up in the Rome Total War loading screen.
Ah, yes. Yeah. That's a reference I wasn't expecting, but I'm there with you. Is this the one where you say, like, return with your shields are on them?
Yes, stuff like that. That's a pretty important one. Of course, Artrom knows that one.
Indeed.
Being, the literal impersonation of Leonidas. He is, yeah.
He's got the same beard.
He has the same beard, and he pulls it off damn well. It's really annoying.
It's
someone that
impressive.
can't do facial hair.
Never mind that, we're going to see a flash crash down. Archerom's beard will have to wait. It's then Vox, they're trying to stealth away, but I just don't think he's got anywhere to run to. He's looking to get a last minute. Can he get the cannon? No, surely not. He doesn't have any way to go. You've got to believe the burst fires will secure it. A heartbreaker. It's your first blood for Stefan.
We briefly had an aside about hair on face. Looks like actually Aston Voxley has got a bit of egg on their face from that play. 0-1, caught out a little bit. And Nash on the Rel, hard against champion. I was a little worried halfway through Riddle's draft thinking, how do you actually get on top of the Twitch? You've got things to worry about.
And here we go. Gonna not even burn the ultimates yet. They just go for the kills. The Ignite surely gets that one, and Backlund gets that. And they still keep the moonfall and the last breath.
Okay, so mid-jungle duo alongside Kerberos getting some gold for themselves. Top side of the map, succeeding in that cross map. And yeah, going back briefly to that point, was a little worried about target access on one side, but actually on the other side, that Yasuo and the Diana always going to have threat if they manage to land that combo. I think as the game goes forward, I'm really looking on Riddle to play around safe vision and to make sure that they're not clumped up to have everyone caught in the combo. Because if you have Zeri who gets the free hit after that target access is gone, feeling significantly better about Riddle's chances. If the Veigar cage is in the right place, feeling significantly better at the chances. But I feel like it is on Riddle to outplay the engage, and I think Dusty have plenty of ways to really sweep home that victory if they find those big combos which are sitting for them.
Checking with the Doomsday Clock, Kayle has ascended the first step on the stairway to heaven, Divine Ascension. Procced over at level 6. Well, tell that to Kayle, already at that first passive increase where those auto attacks become ranged, I believe. You start getting a little bit more powerful again at level 11, again at level 16 where Kayle becomes a god amongst mortals. Linkast with the Herald, with Moonfall, looking to flash and Lunar Rush to find a Moonfall. Will not bother using anything like a Divine Judgment spell.
And the kill goes to the Kayle.
Yes.
That's really annoying because you're sat there like, oh heck, we just died. Gonna die again. It's 2 kills. Onto Jax Planks, one of their duo mains, of course. This player which we've seen do magnificent things on those champions, not able to stand up in those 1v2s, is saving that flash. I think that's the right decision. I don't think you're getting out of that either way. I think that as soon as Diana is there, you are going to get hit by an E, you are going to get hit by the ult, and effectively that's lights out after that point. So not only is that 2 kills on the top lane. It's also going to be the Herald. It's going to be a turret. It's going to be first turret as well after all is said and done. Huge amount of gold going to Kerberos. And remember, looking down at those items, that's actually going to be a crit Kale. You're probably going to see a Kraken
we
sniper
go.
side. Not even there to respond.
That is a Magnet Storm that will help secure another kill onto Voxney. Riddle put the pressure on the opposite side of the map and succeed over there as Stefan continues to try and hunt for more. He has got both kills for Riddle thus far and continues to be our premier carry jungler. As Backlund finds himself in a bit of a tricky position. Linkas is coming over and Stent is around as well. They might want to contest this, but Vladi was around, and I think with the HP bar on that Nautilus, a little bit too low to consider contesting any further.
Okay, so shame on me for seeing a Rel on the same screen as enemy champions and not expecting there to be it again. It's like, oh, let's talk about Crit Kale. Gold's great on it. Yeah, well, there's going to be a fight coming. Great combo coming through from Nash. Funny thing about this,
yes.
I look at Dusty on the screen and I see Rel, and I just think, oh, it's FGG. Of course, FGG's down on JDXL.
Exactly, I know.
It's 7-0, but like, Rel has been a big presence within the NLC for specific players. Nash, I really like what they did in that of course, that one reset phase of play, again, showing those fundamentals off. It's a small thing, but it's just nice to see. And getting in those big engages, can't wait to see what this player can do, because on one side, we talked about the target access of that mid lane. I think the role is huge on the other side to maybe cut down Dusty before they can find that opportunity and pull the trigger.
As it stands, Dusty pretty happily ahead in the gold lead right now, and with early gold onto this Kale, with early plates, hell, a first tower even into this Kale. Kerberos, a notorious carry top laner in a very happy position in this game. Yes, down a little bit of CS, but frankly, you take that as Kale. Being down 10 CS early on,
10 CS is just about, I would almost call that winning. I would call that mission accomplished. If you're only 10 CS down and you're still getting XP, you're fine. You've got 2 kills, you've got plates. You are more than fine. You're absolutely set up, but Riddle, you see Nash talked about his impact on the game. Maybe trying to get something on Kerberos. If Barrow lands, there's a flash and an ultimate available to that Kale. No one on the same side of the map for Kerberos. Potential for a dive, but speaking of that, cross map comes in. Of course, there's a cross map. These two teams going blow for blow. Kevo
needs to be afraid. Gonna try and lightning rush away, but that is a Moonfall and a dredge line. And they'll dredge Kevo's corpse straight into the grey screen simulator.
That is so morbid. It's a pretty line, but it's really morbid.
I mean, look, I was making Edgar Allan Poe reference earlier today. I was like, he's like the original emo. Like, what did you want from me?
Hero was
Quote me on that.
Like, I don't know. Wouldn't that be Bram Stoker? Was he before Poe?
I believe. Ooh. Not dissimilar time periods.
Does Gothic count as emo? In this essay we will discuss.
There is some significant overlap.
That was what, 1400s, 1600s?
Well, you got to remember, Gothic is not necessarily a time period.
Well, no, but it started around then.
No. So this is I will take 10 seconds and move on.
Yep.
So what you have to understand is what people realize is when things like Frankenstein with stuff were being written, that there was stuff beforehand that people then retroactively added to the Gothic genre. Right. So there's a lot of stuff from across history that kind of gone, that considered Gothic. So there's a few bits like that.
Yeah, I, for one, love the
Abbey.
I love the first album released in like 1214 by Black Sabbath.
If you start singing War Pigs on cast, it's not, I don't think we've quite hit that level yet.
Who really knows when Ozzy was actually incarnated? That guy has been around for a long time.
Similar sort of time when the Mayans were writing their calendar, I'm sure. Is that where the Brummy accent comes from? Like, he's the originator of it. The word Sharon echoing across time and space.
We've lasted 5 games, so we've crossed into the hysteria horizon. And now we're in a position of unleash teleports. Teleport back from the mid lane from Vladi, but let's see if any of these other champions can get themselves unlocked and unleashed onto the map. Got a dragon up in a minute. First one down to Riddle. We're not going to have ourselves a Cloud or an Ocean Rift, which means actually 3 impactful souls out of the remaining bunch in terms of this game in particular. All 3 of those would be hugely impactful. Looking for those combos. Linkouts. This is a dangerous choke point for Riddle.
Kind of caught, misses the Steel Tempest. See if there's anything more. Now the rest looking for a potential turnaround. Linkas goes over the wall. He's onto the Viego, who's trying to burn down and dies as Backlund secures it with a flash. Steel Tempest. Nash flashes away, will not die to the expunge from Voxney. But can Kevo find anything more? No is the answer
And look, we said pretty clearly, it's on Riddle to outplay the engage. You don't outplay the engage by walking that close to them without having the correct paths in towards that mid lane. They didn't have the Veigar behind their phalanx to put down the cage to start disengaging. And while Kevo did actually get some free room to fire as that Zeri, you're not in the position where you're going to be solo carrying these fights as the Zeri just yet. Linkas understands their point of power, walks up, commits themselves to the engage, and just fires on the first target. It's exactly what you need to do. Backlund and Linkas solo at that first target, and Dusty just do what it says on the tin. It is more than easy for them. And to me, it feels like Riddle didn't put themselves in a great position to outplay that.
Checking in with the Doomsday Clock again. That calendar is moving up. Speaking of the Mayans,
so says
level 11 in for the Kayle. Divine Ascension reaching that second rank means those autos, I believe, now have an... Is it AoE at level 11?
So when you get up to max stacks on your passive, which is 5 autos, you get those golden waves alongside them. Also, when you press your E, that big auto attack, that has an explosion around it. So you have a lot more wave clear at this point. When you hit level 16, that's the Doomsday Clock, get the increased range, and all of your autos have those waves on them.
Don't need to stack anymore.
Starting to win in isolation at this point. Look,
Lordy
the auto
Lord.
attack resets are really, really annoying. Of course, you still have that passive all the way from level 1 in terms of giving yourself stacking move speed towards targets and some attack speed on top of that too. So if you get access to a wave like this, Jaxplug just has to sit back and hope a barrel lands.
Between the Radiant Blast and the Starfire Spellblades, with all that AoE, Kayle, a dangerous proposition. Of course, she does need the free time to fire if you can make that from happening. Has some struggles with it, but of course, this is the auto attack focus build.
Do you remember the Kayle can do it meme? Where Kayle could be played in 4 different roles.
Unfortunately, I do remember that.
And then it just became that you want someone to do it, Kayle can do it.
Kayle can do it.
Kayle can certainly do a lot of damage this game. Might have to find a way to stop taking damage though with a flash and ult.
Running away. I still remember when the likes of, I want to say Kikis was playing Kayle jungle, TF jungle.
Yep,
in the
that
day.
Was one of them. Yep.
And of course, Kikis was on X7 last split.
Jungle. Yep.
Played a number of roles across his career, but once used to play some very unusual picks for Unicorns of Love in the jungle.
Well, he was just here last split on JDXL.
Indeed.
Of course. So.
Did I say I said X7? I meant JDXL. I'm sorry. Wrong team. I apologize.
I was thinking of some extra things to add on to that, so I didn't actually quite catch it. I heard the X. I'm like, oh, it's one of those teams.
The 7 evil X. I need to make more Scott Pilgrim references around X7.
Absolutely, you do. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. You know that though.
I do.
You have the comic somewhere.
I bought you them. It was a birthday present.
Yeah.
Was it a birthday or Christmas present?
It was a birthday present. Yeah. It was a very good one.
See, I have my moments as a brother. There you go.
A few, occasionally. I'll give you that.
Okay. High praise indeed.
Sometimes you get the Scott Pilgrim really nice gift. Sometimes you have really bad Star Wars puns on cast. It's a mixed bag.
It's a mixed bag, yeah. And everyone else has to deal with those now, which is
never one without the other.
That would be Kindred, but that also counts. Gonna see a bit of a stun onto Stend, who has been one of the standout players really in the league, who didn't know what to expect of this guy.
For you for not saying standout player, because that would have been.
I really should have done. I'm disappointed in myself as Kerberos gonna take away this blue buff potentially as well. It's gonna be contested for, but the smite rings true, and Stefan secures that one against the attempted steal. Vladi's tower in the mid lane down to very low HP, and I think Dusty have decided that it shouldn't be standing much longer.
Well, I have to see whether they can maybe find a counter engage. I'm looking at Nash. I'm looking to see what he can do. Has the flash up now? That's a big moment. Kerberos takes down the tower, but
Herb will throw down the Divine Judgment, and the Judgment says that you will get to live this time around. No additional payments required outside of a flash. So bot side Backlund will secure another outer turret.
So this is why Dusty didn't choose to commit to anything. You don't have a teleport on your Yasuo. You can't commit to that play because Yasuo needs to be there, frankly, for the extra CC on the ultimate. Of course, you can't QSS out of the... Actually, I'm not sure if you can QSS out of the Yasuo anymore. You used to be able to do that.
Don't believe so.
It was a unique kind of CC. It was a suspension. Much like Nami Q. You can, I believe you can still QSS out of that one. But either way, the extra CC is really valuable onto a lot of these targets. You already talked about the turnaround of barrels, of cages, of a number of different things.
A lot of containers.
Sorry, what?
Barrels, cages. That's like a lot of containers.
It's like a Storage Wars episode. What's in the box? What's in the cage?
Deal or no deal? Do you want the barrel?
I would like to not have a barrel. That would be...
That's great.
Well, I think that's basically what Dusty is saying. How can we have no barrels? Thanks. God.
Yeah, well...
It's been a long day.
A long day. It's going to get longer still, I feel, of course. Both teams pretty happy as the game gets later, because of course Kale notoriously powerful as the game goes later. 15 seconds till the Dragon though, and you've got
to go have my point now before the fight start erupting, because we've got some wards getting put down. And again, Dusty have the terrain on their side. If you're funneling through this area right on screen right now, Riddle, don't feel too happy about things. Watch where Vladdy is. He needs to be there for the cage. Jax Black has an ultimate. I actually wonder if Riddle, if they don't find a good angle, if they just give this up. It's only one Dragon to Dusty right now, but they're choosing to commit.
We'll try and commit to this. Will be a second Dragon for either, and Stefan steals it. Now Stend caught in the event horizon.
Oh, here we go!
Out as Backlund fighting to last breath, but he's being taken low, and he's stolen away. Stefan, of course it's Stefan, gets to show Yasuo it's really done with his own damn corpse. It's necromancy to fill up all the Gothic reference I was making earlier. A double over to Kevo as well, and Kerberos wasn't really there. He's got a Divine Judgment, and maybe he can try turning it around. We'll need to pop the ult shortly, surely, there it is, trying to turn it around. Stefan taking so damn low. Will fall to the tower, but Jax Blank ensures his jungler goes down in trade.
We have it. It's Riddle outplaying the engage. Dusty only find a single target. That looked like it should have been a clump, looked like it should have been the Moonfall to end it all, but Stend can't follow up. It's just the Veigar in that. And actually, Jax Blank gets out of that CC. Actually, there you go. There's the answer to it.
There's the answer.
And QSS out of that one, apparently. Then Voxley does a decent job of actually following up on some of this, but because the key targets aren't closed out in this, and Kevo, of course, gets to pop off, Riddle really found their way into this fight. Credit to them. We said, hey, you got to try and outplay this kind of big engage that Dusty is setting up, and this time they did it.
Curb at least managed to get a little vengeance for his team by securing his third kill of the game, and this Kale now with Wit's End is still going to be a real threat. Yes, they lost that fight. Yes, they lost that Dragon, but they're still up 2,000 gold, and they are still working with Diana, Yasuo, Kale. Like, that is a nasty topside. Hell, Twitch is a scaling carry as well.
All of them do really well with items. Sadly, everyone else on the other side also does really well with items. Because, and that's going to be a big problem, right? Because it's all well and good having a lot of burst damage from Dusty. Twitch needs to be doing a lot of work after that combo happens.
Big slow.
Double barrel.
Stefan's here as well. This will now be a 1v2, and Backlund's trying to play as one of the best he can, but there's just nothing to be done, and he is dead on the side.
Combos. Really slick combos. 3 barrels, 3 hits. Backlund cannot take that kind of damage. That opens up the ability to go towards Baron. You don't have the Yasuo to follow up on that Diana. Part of your key combo is down, and Kerberos isn't even on the same side of the map.
No teleport either, so no way to join. You do have a Lunar Rush and a Moonfall. Very difficult to keep the Diana out, and Riddle decide against continuing to flip for the Baron.
I think, given you have basically no tanks in this game, and no, this doesn't count in this game. You can't tank Baron. And at that point, if you're sat there looking at that juicy combo, even without the Yasuo in there, that's a wise decision, I would say, from Riddle. Actually, we're getting to the point now where, tentatively, that momentum meter has gone back to even. Dragons on one side, a little bit of gold on the other. We talked about Dusty and their combo being so important, but analysts back in the back room considering this a fairly even affair in its own right.
Stefan just haunting that bot lane there, looking to see whether he can get involved in something more.
References. Nice.
And remember, he's actually at 100% kill participation right now. This player who, again, kind of came a little bit out of nowhere, out from the cold in a lot of ways, really standing up and being counted in the league so far. He's been incredibly impressive, particularly on the Viego, if I do say so myself, and continuing to be a threat in this game. Veigar, not Viego, has managed to pick up the death cap. And you've got 2 items in on the gangplank as well. Thing is, it's kind of getting towards 2 items on the other side as well, which is getting...
I'm glad I'm not like that out of ideas that I have to refer to it as the Viego combo.
Combo is Jax Blank. Wanted to trade there with Kerberos, and it certainly does with the barrels, but will not win the barrel minigame the second time around. Of course, with a Celestial Blessing, Kerberos does have some tools to heal their way back up again.
A little bit, and of course has that... probably is running Legend. I'm actually not sure if they're running Legends Bloodlines on the runes. Kale obviously gets a lot from attack speed, but if you're building an AD carry auto-attack centric build, actually just going for Legends Bloodlines gives you an ability to heal off of waves. Kerberos is going to get that recall off. And of course they have the Vamp Scepter in there too, so they have some ability to heal just on the auto-attack.
Hear ye. Kerberos is but 1 level away from Ascension, truly at the top of the stairway to heaven.
The end is nigh!
The end is nigh. Level 16 approaching.
Wait, is that even the World Ender Kale skin?
It might be. I don't know what... It's a cool skin. I don't know if it's the World Ender Kale.
I'm just looking at the sword. You know what? I actually haven't played against a Kale, and I haven't bought the skin myself, so I'm not entirely sure. It's a really cool skin.
It is a really cool skin.
Let's see when it hits level 16. Of course, Kale is an entire champion, evolves as the game goes on. Tracking that one as well, because that's going to have eyes on the champion anyway. Level 15, and see, that's only halfway through. 20 seconds till that next Dragon spawns. No soul point for either team. But again, we're waiting for that engage. Riddle, they can't clump up. Look at Nash, look at Vladi. They're two of the most important champions, players to deal with Dusty's combo. We're setting up them to Oxinate. There were two ships in the night, very much running into each other with the two stealth champions walking up into each other.
All summoners available except from Kevo's Flash, which comes up now as I speak about it. Jax Blanks as well, inches away from being available, so a lot of summoners for everyone to play with. Stem misses, that's the kind of barrage. What can happen from here? Nash with the Magnet Storm, so exquisitely called out by Nemera. It's into an attract, repel, they'll get one back, but it's just not enough. Kerberos though, trying to do their best, flashing away, best staff over the wall, continue with the chase, secures Kale's body, and that will be the god switching sides. It is that spear of Longinus that will bring down the angel from on high. Off the stairway they fall, and they can try and damn well end it.
I am so impressed by Nash this game. Only had a few chances to really stand out and landed some utter knockout blows in this game. That Rel was not going to be the disengage. It was always going to be about getting onto the enemy team, and lands a 5-man combo in what could be
Sublime.
the game-breaking fight for Riddle. Again, Stand actually does a fairly decent job of trying to delay that first engage, but a 5-man attract repel stun after that point puts things so far in Riddle's favor that even when that combo lands and Twitch briefly manages to open up, the fight's effectively just over.
At that point, it's looking a bit dire. Of course, game's not over. They decide not quite to push any further. They'll take the inhibitor and back off. But this game now in the hands of Riddle, of course. Kerberos still edging towards that level 16, and we know what happens when Kale hits that point, but thus far, thus good in terms of dealing with it in the team fights, and if Nash can continue to find engages like that.
Down on the bot side, I believe, for Kerberos. Kerberos is going to hit level 16 after this wave. Well, thereabouts. Let's see if it hits it end up there. Oh, one more minion or so.
That's so close.
Honestly, maybe even the ward does it. They're getting so close. It's just ticking. Even then, is it going to be enough?
Jax Blank
Doesn't have the 16 to fight this one.
There's Stefan coming around. There's still no Divine Judgment available for Kerberos. I don't know how much he wants this. He can do quite a lot of damage, but I don't know if he's quite enough. That barrel hitting like a damn truck. Kerb trying to play this one out best they can. That is the challenging smite through, and Kerberos falls.
Hair's breadth away from level 16. Maybe that could have let them wail on the two of them at that point. Extra attack range, extra DPS uptime with those exalted forms. Kerberos didn't have that all. Goes a little too far, a little too aggressive, and while has been largely succeeding in the 1v1 in terms of pushing into those towers, and has even recouped some of that CS, which they were losing in, obviously, as you do tend to as Kale. It's a pretty awkward mistake to make at that point, though, especially with Baron on the table. Yes, you do have that teleport, but just loses Dusty the ability to push in on that bot side and get something to play from, have a leg up somewhere on the map.
Indeed, and, you know, this is a Gangplank as well that was down a whole tower, down a couple kills.
Right, those
now
two times
6-2 and
back-to-back,
6,
right?
yeah. 600 gold bounty on their head. Jax Blank well and truly back into the game.
Those barrel combos have actually been very good. Just able to just make sure that one's hitting, get the next barrel up, just continually having threatened those barrels to have that huge DPS uptime. Jax Blank obviously showing the mastery of that champion. Jamada will tell you all about that one. Has, and of course, him and Hitbrain have a
lot of experience.
Game time hours on that
There it
point.
is.
Level 16 hit for Kerberos. Bloodthirst hit for Kerberos. 3 items. It's a little later than maybe they would have wanted. It's still coming towards that point in the game, but it's still so important for Kerberos to be a threat on the map. How many members need to deal with him at this point? Can he take a 2v1? Might have to come into the larger fights, though, as Riddle see that hit on the side lane, force the issue, and the tunnel's going behind him. It's going to be too late.
Ways away. Linkas will be able to get in and potentially look to steal. They're going to pull away from it, happy with the teleport being down from Kerberos.
It's basically got what they wanted from Riddle. Now that split push pressure point on the map can't join the fight. If they end up forcing the issue around that Baron or elsewhere away from that Kale. See the Baron Now, Vision ceded over to Dusty. Riddle took that chance. They can't stick around after that point, though. They don't want to fight over that Vision. They can't defend it. Now, leaving ourselves once again with resets.
50 seconds until a Mountain Soul potential for Riddle. Of course, they are at that Soul point and would very much like a Mountain Soul to help defend themselves from the wombo combo that Dusty have brought to bear in this game. They have got the control of the map right now. They've got the inhibitor down in that bot lane. We're kind of setting up for a final tumultuous fight that will likely decide the fate here of our two teams tied at 4-2. Reminder, the winner will move up to join the other teams in second. The loser will be left a little bit away from that pack.
So, once again, looking at that rel, the big engage option for Riddle can really stunt Dusty's combo before it really starts. Watch to see how Nash can play around Vision. Dusty fell prey to it once. On the other side, of course, Backlund and Linkus are such a huge threat. If they hit the right targets, it gets so disgusting, but they have to hit so many people at this point. Lots of damage on both sides. One person goes unchecked, this whole fight can turn around.
Nash has flash. Nash has made these fights so Riddle favored over the last few encounters. Dragon down to Harvest B, but Sten will go in and try and turn it around. That's Stefan down the Heartbreaker. Not what they want to see is Nash doesn't really find the angle he was looking for, but still, it's a steal on the Baron. The Soul is through. But look at the back end. What more can they do? Backlund goes golden. Divine Judgment is there. Kerberos gets one back, but Backlund is dead, and Trader's Linkas in the cage, sure to fall down, and two members fight for. Dusty being turned to the winds. Dust to dust, ashes to ashes, and an event horizon will drag them all to a final black hole.
It doesn't matter that there are two carries alive at the end of it. Then Vox and Kerberos can't find the DPS. Jax, Plank, and Stefan shut him down. Without another thought, with a little bit of help from Vladdy in that cage, and Riddle win out on the 4-2 scoreline matchup. Riddle take control of that second place spot.
Georgia said it in the pre-show. She wondered whether Riddle were the best, the second best team in the league. With performances like this, you begin to wonder, don't you?
Riddle go to join. I believe it's Bifrost and that 5-2 scoreline at that point. But Riddle keep pace at the top behind JDXL. Either way, JDXL looking down.